Let's talk education. It's 15 minutes of information about the policies, programs, and activities of our schools and the Ministry of Education. Join us and let's talk education.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to Let's Talk Education. I'm your host, Patricia Evans. Today on Let's Talk Education, we have two special guests. They are our curriculum specialists for physical education on the island. In the first segment of our show, we'll be interviewing our first curriculum specialist for physical education, Dr. Vanetta Losporis. And in the second segment of our show, we'll be interviewing Miss Philophila Charles, who is also our curriculum specialist for physical education on island. Welcome, Dr. Losporis, to Let's Talk Education.
Thank you for having me.
My first question to you, Dr. Losporis, as curriculum specialist for physical education, what does your work entail?
Well, my work entails a lot. I go to the various schools to meet with the PE teachers, observe them teaching, provide feedback, some strategies that they can use in their classroom, just whatever that they need help with. I try to help them with that. I also work with the other curriculum specialists to organize professional development activities to help our teachers. So that's, in a nutshell, what I do as a curriculum specialist at PE.
Very good. Recently, you've been very instrumental in the development of the final draft curriculum for physical education. Could you share with us the main objective of this draft?
Well, it's not a final document as yet. It's just in draft form. We've had PE teachers at the infant and primary schools for many years now, but there's never been that one document to guide their teaching. We've had workshops and professional development activities over the years to help engage the PE teachers, but there's never been that one official document to say, this is what you should teach, this is how you should teach it, this is how you should assess it.
Wow.
And that has been a problem, especially for our new teachers who come into the system. Some of them come with no teaching, no background in teaching sometimes, sometimes no background in physical education. So this document is, the purpose of this document is to help those teachers, especially our new teachers, and also to standardize the teaching of physical education across the island. So the teachers know, as I said earlier, what to teach, how to teach it, how to assess it. So we have more confidence in knowing that the children across the island are being taught the very same concepts from one school to the next.
And so this draft looks to standardize.
Yes.
And so all teachers are on the same level playing field with respect to the teaching of physical education from primary school into secondary school.
Well, the draft currently just addresses the primary school, infant and primary schools. But you cannot look at the PE in isolation. We cannot just say this is only for infant and primary schools. While the draft addresses that particular segment, we're hoping that what we're doing at that level will hopefully help the situation at the secondary level. So the draft is just for K through 6 schools.
Do you envision in the future that we might have to have a standardized draft for secondary schools, or is there one already?
The secondary schools right now, they use the CSEC syllabus to guide their teaching. At the lower levels from 1, 2, and 3, there isn't a standardized curriculum either at that level. But at least they have some guidance from the CSEC syllabus. At the primary schools, though, we had nothing to guide the teachers. When I say nothing, nothing official. Of course, some of the teachers are resourceful and they'll go online, there are textbooks that they can use and whatnot, but nothing, as I said, to guide all of the teachers to say, these are the concepts that we want, these are the goals that we have for PE, and this is how you should approach the teaching of PE. And it's going to be different at the different schools because we have, different conditions at the various schools. However, there must be something to guide the teachers, and we're hoping that this draft will help in that regard.
Recently, Dr. Losporis, you launched various workshops throughout the island in helping teachers to understand the new draft. What feedback did you get from the teachers with the first draft for physical education?
Well, the first workshop that we had was simply to familiarize the teachers with the curriculum, what's in the curriculum itself, and to get feedback from them. And we did get some really good feedback that we on later versions of the draft, we implemented the feedback that we gotten from the teachers. But the feedback that we've gotten is great. I think over the years, the teachers have been asking for a curriculum, and now that we have one, even in draft form, it's more than that they've had in the past. And the curriculum is based on 4 standards, built around 4 standards. We have a movement standard, which is the basis of physical education. We have a health standard, which you cannot teach PE without teaching health, about health. Yes. You know, we have a safety standard, and if you're teaching PE, you must emphasize safety. Yes. And we have a personal behavior standard. All of these standards together help bring out, you know, what we want students to learn in physical education. So the feedback that we've gotten from the teachers have been really, really good. They've been saying positive things. There's some professional development that has to happen in terms of the health concept in PE, because we want the teachers to understand that bringing out the health concept has to come from the movement part of PE. We're not saying that you have to take your students and put them in a class and teach them health, the health concepts. That is being done by the classroom teacher. We're saying that through PE, you can use games and activities to bring out those health concepts. And that is a little different for a lot of our teachers. You know, many of them, they go and they do a great job in teaching the games, the movement part of PE. But some of them not such a great job at integrating the other standards that I've mentioned here today. So that is something that we kind of have to work on a little more.
And the integration part of it, especially with the health and safety part, that is really critical when you look at physical education.
That is critical. Yes. I mean, PE teaches students about movement, first of all, but it also teaches them the impact that physical activity can have on their health. Yes. I mean, in St. Lucia right now, we have so many issues with non-communicable diseases, such as diabetes. And physical activity teaches students how, physical education, teaches students how physical activity can help prevent those illnesses, and in some cases manage those illnesses. So it's a critical subject.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lasporis, and it has been a pleasure speaking with you this morning. Viewers, you're watching Let's Talk Education. We're about to take a short break. As I said earlier, our second guest will be our second curriculum specialist for physical education in the second part of our Let's Talk Education program today. Thank you.
Let's Talk Education. It's 15 minutes of information about the policies, programs, and activities of our schools and the Ministry of Education. Join us and let's talk education.
Welcome back, viewers, to Let's Talk Education. In our second segment, like I promised, we are going to interview our second curriculum specialist for physical education on the island, Miss Philophila Charles. Welcome, Miss Charles.
Thank you.
Miss Charles, I am quite aware you're a physical education expert. You're a curriculum specialist as well. But just brief us in terms of what your work entails.
Good morning, everyone. Philophila Charles, as you said. I'm responsible for the development of the guide. Well, now that Dr. Vanessa Flores has joined the department, she replaced Mr. Pierre. Everybody knows Michael. We worked on the development of a physical education guide. In the past, the past maybe 8-10 years, PE was not so organized. Teachers would probably just go out with the children, hand them a ball, let them play games that they know, etc. But it wasn't as formal as math and English, etc. And a few years ago, Mrs. Eiffel, who was the education officer at the time, took the initiative of introducing physical education at the primary school, because you have to set the base.
Yes.
We moved to the secondary, CXCPE 10 years ago. St. Lucia has been doing well this year. I think we got an average of 99 point, the highest average. And so we thought you need to set the base. Just like you don't just get plants, fruits on a tree.
Yes.
You have to plant a seed and then it grows and grows and so on, and in the end if you take care of it. So we thought we needed to build that base, and hence we introduced physical education as a formal subject in the school curriculum.
That is brilliant. With the recent launch of the draft of the physical education curriculum, that you actually had many workshops that were held with respects to teachers, especially at the primary level. What are the challenges you foresee with that draft?
we foresee a few challenges. Teacher training. Almost, I think 99% of the primary school teachers are not formally trained. They do not have a degree in physical education. We've done some training with them. We've gotten help from TASPI, that's a Trinidad and Tobago Alliance for Sport and PE. Now it's Caribbean Sports Development Agency.
Nice.
We've gotten help from Australia. At one time I had a group of 15 persons trained, and we would go around the island, spend a week in each district and do some training with them on the fundamental skills of the locomotor skills, the non-locomotor skills, the manipulative skills. We too have done training. For example, just last week we had training with teachers from district 1 to 4 and 5 to 8 on lesson planning. So we had about 8 persons presenting lessons. Teachers would evaluate the lesson. They would make their comments, what was good, and other ways they can improve, because they have the experience as well. A lot of the teachers have the experience of teaching the subject, and I think a lot of them have grown quite a bit in that area. We have some really teachers who've been there from the inception of the program, like introducing them to the schools, and they have the experience and they're really good. They really enjoy what they're doing. The trainers enjoy the classes. Some teachers tell me, Miss, if I'm absent for one day or I miss a class, it's trouble. And when you say it's PE time, the teacher better not keep them inside because they would run out of the class. So they really look forward to the physical education class.
And classes. So despite we have challenges, these challenges can be curbed and they can be dealt with.
That's right. Some schools, the playground is very small. They do not, especially in the towns like Castries, you have very limited space. Equipment is another issue as well. But the teachers are trying their best. They try to use the space that they have. They could do with more space. For example, if you're introducing the upper classes like grade 5 and 6 to the sports, you need some more space. In the out districts, you have quite a number of empty classrooms now in some of the schools. So some schools use it as the PE room, and they have the PE of indoor and outdoor. We're just developing some mats, some gym mats to give every school so that children can learn to tumble and roll. Because if you look at our West Indian team, the guys in the past were afraid to fall on the ground and to roll.
That is so true.
Yeah, so now we're trying to develop those fundamental skills. And these are things that they can take into life throughout their life, practice in old age, 80, 90 years and so on. My grandfather still goes to his garden and walk and so on. So we need to get our children to be able to move. We need to, they need to be able to jump and catch and roll and throw and so on. And then if we talk about the holistic development of the child, PE is as important as every other subject in the school.
It is.
Curriculum. Very, very important.
With regards to the draft curriculum for physical education, what standards guides that particular draft?
Okay, we have 4 standards.
Yes.
And if I can refer to my notes.
Please do.
It was developed by CARICOM. I am one of the persons who was on that committee who developed the framework for the physical education guide. And as a matter of fact, Dr. Marella told me St. Lucia is way ahead of all the countries.
That is excellent.
We are the most advanced in the development of the guide. And they, I think sometime next year, want to use us to have a workshop with the other curriculum officers from the region to introduce them to our model. And we have 4 standards. Standard 1 speaks to applying concepts and principles for the development and performance of motor skills. Standard 2 speaks to exhibiting responsible behavior and social behavior. So social skills, work ethics to become good citizens and productive individuals. Standard 3 speaks to the achievement and maintenance of a health-enhancing level of physical fitness and well-being. 4th standard speaks to exhibiting safety principles and practices.
Viewers, You've been listening to Let's Talk Education with our two special guests. In the first segment, we were discussing with Dr. Los Boris, who is also a curriculum specialist. And this segment, you've just heard from Ms. Philophila Charles, who is also a curriculum specialist for education, discussing the curriculum and the first draft for physical education for primary schools. Thank you for viewing and see you at our next Let's Talk Education.